Another week of FPL has come to an end. Game week 2 has just finished. Arsenal and Crystal Palace finished off the week with a 1-0 win to Arsenal. Now, before I get into any of that, I want to just say make sure you guys like, share, comment and subscribe. I'm very close to that 1,000 subscriber mark, so help me get there. It will be much appreciated. But let's get straight into the FPL. So we're going to start with how I did this week. Now, I did alright in hindsight considering how other people did for the week. I went up in the overall ranking by I think it was 100,000. Finished on 59 points. The average was 44, and the reason for that is because of the man himself, Erling Haaland. He didn't have a very good week. He finished on 2 points. He didn't score, didn't get an assist. City actually only won the game 1-0 against Newcastle, so it was a very quiet game for him, and I think the main reason for that is that there is no Kevin De Bruyne. I think Erling Haaland will not be as easy as a captain choice as he was last season, because without Kevin De Bruyne, he ain't getting them chances on a plate like he was last season to get those 36 goals in the one season. I think Erling Haaland is definitely a player that could easily be taken out this season if he doesn't perform in the next 2-3 game weeks, because coming in at 14 million, there is so much you could do with the rest of your team, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. We're going to go from the top to the bottom in my team. And we're going to start with Martinez in goal. They had an absolute brilliant game against Everton. They won, I think it was 4-0. Martinez getting the clean sheet, getting the bonus too as well. So he finished on 8, which is very decent for my keeper. My backup keeper on the bench, Areola, got 10 points. But no one was expecting Areola to save a penalty and get a bonus against Chelsea. Let's be honest now. But it's only a 2-point difference, so that wasn't too frustrating for me, 100% honest. My defence, Estepinian, Chilwell and Saliba. Estepinian and Saliba did very well. That was expected, and I can't lie, I did expect Chilwell to do good as well. He was the marquee player that I bought in last week, hoping that he'll come in against West Ham, get a couple points. He put an absolute stinker. He got subbed off, got a yellow card, finished on 1 point. Now his fixtures in the future are much better, which we're going to get into later, but Chilwell had a very bad week this week, and it is frustrating because in my mini leagues or whatever, he was a bit of a differential. Not many people had him, so it is kind of frustrating to see him come out this week with 1 point. And obviously Chelsea got absolutely battered, so it is what it is. The midfield now, Mitoma. Now Mitoma and Estepinian were absolutely brilliant in that game against Wolves. They scored and assisted each other, so the points were just coming off each other. And Mitoma finished with a very decent return. And I think Brighton players, or well, the 2 players that I've got at the moment anyway, are going to be 2 players that are going to help me around the next 4 or 5 weeks and get me a decent return. The next player I had in there was Rashford. This guy is disappointing me for the 2nd week in a row now. His 3rd game week, it was going to be a good one, and I'm hoping to see a Rashford that we know from last season, which I'll get onto when I go onto my next week's team. But Rashford coming out with no return again. Him and Bruno Fernandes both missing one-on-one opportunities from very crucial areas. That's not the Rashford and Bruno we know. So them coming out with no returns was an absolute shocker. And they obviously lost the game 2-0 against Tottenham as well. So it's not looking great for Man United right now. And it's not looking great for Rashford, because coming out at 9 million, he's one of my more expensive players. So he is going to be the main player in my midfield that I'm looking to take out next week. Next up, we had Salah. I went for the clever choice of captaining Salah this week because I just had a feeling the way that Haaland played against Sevilla is going to be another quiet game for him, and it was. City obviously only won 1-0 against Newcastle. Julian Alvarez getting the goal. Haaland had a couple shots here and there, but it was nothing close to going in. So he finished the week very low. So I captained Mohamed Salah. It was very unfortunate that Salah missed the pen before he put it away, but he got me the return, which is all that matters. Hopefully next time he just buries his penalties instead of missing them first. So he finished on 10, not too bad. I know a lot of people had Luis Diaz. He obviously got the bonus 3, I think it was, and then he obviously scored an absolutely beautiful goal. Diogo Jota on the score sheet for them as well. So they are maybe a couple of players that I might be looking to bring in the near future. Next up, we had Bukayo Saka. He obviously didn't take the pen against Crystal Palace. Maybe Arteta thought it was time for a change. Saka did miss a couple of penalties here and there last season. One of them against West Ham, which helped us to not win the league. Odegaard took it, scored, and Arsenal won that game, but Saka getting no returns. Next up, we have Barichi Eze. I'm not too frustrated about Saka, by the way, because a lot of people have him. Same with Estepinian. I think around 60% of the game have him, around 40% have Mitoma, and around 60% again have Saka. So it's not too frustrating when they don't get a return, especially when they're not my captain, because it benefits me in no way whatsoever. So next up, let Eberechi Eze. Now, don't get me wrong, this guy against Arsenal could have 100% got a return. He had a couple shots, a couple good shots, a couple creations. He had a good free kick opportunities. I think for the last 2 weeks, he's been very unfortunate not to get an attacking return, and I think in his next fixture he could definitely get one, which I'll get onto in a minute. He's not a player that I'm not too rushed about taking out at the moment, because I don't think I should be putting all the pressure on a player like Eze when I've got the likes of Saka, Salah, Rashford and Mitoma in midfield. Up front, João Pedro, this guy didn't start the game, came on, got a yellow card. I was very frustrated. He's definitely going to be a player that I look to take out my team. I thought with him being the record signing for Brighton, he'll 100% start. Clearly I was wrong. And I said it at the start of the season when I done my draft. They got the likes of Welbeck, Ferguson. It's going to be hard for João Pedro to start every single week, and this was one of the weeks where he didn't start. So he is a player that I'm definitely going to shift out. And of course, I already spoke about Erling Haaland having a very quiet game at 14 million, but no one wants to make a quick move on Erling Haaland just yet, because at the end of the day, he is Erling Haaland and he plays for the best team in the world. My bench remains the same as last week. The only change I made was Chilwell for John Stones, who was injured. So other than that, my team remained the same. So going on to next week now, this is currently how I got my team set out. My team have very, very good fixtures for next week, and I don't think I'd need to make any transfers. I think I can honestly roll and have 2 free transfers next week and do a couple transfers then. Because I'll be honest, the fixtures some of the teams got in the coming weeks are very good. For example, one team that I don't even have in my starting 11 is Tottenham, and they've got some very, very good fixtures coming up. And one of the players that I wanted to talk about the most was Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea. Chelsea's next couple of games are absolutely amazing, or just even their next one is Luton, and I think that could be a spot for points. The 2 players that I was looking at to bring in for Chelsea was either Sterling or Nicholas Jackson, or maybe even both. Obviously, I don't do my transfers. I do my transfers the day before the week starts, so you guys won't see that until next week when I release my points and whatever. But yeah, so Erling Haaland is going to go back to captain because they're versus Sheffield. So I think this will be a good place for Haaland to get his goals, to fire him up for the season. Salah got Newcastle, so he won't be my captain. We saw what happened with Haaland against Newcastle. It will be very similar. I think Haaland does score a lot of goals against Newcastle, but I think this time will be a lot harder, and I think Haaland against Sheffield is the smarter choice. Like I spoke about Rashford before, I'm giving him one more chance. He's got Nottingham Forest, so this, and he's at home as well. So this is the place where Rashford can get his points, and this will define whether or not I keep him in my team, because if he doesn't get a return in this game, he will almost 100% be gone. Then we have Bukayo Saka. Like I said, Eze in his next fixture, which is Brentford, can definitely get an attack and return. Don't get me wrong. Brentford are a great team. Don't get it twisted. They will definitely challenge Palace. But Eberechi Eze is an amazing player. He caused problems against Arsenal, caused problems against Sheffield. He was just unfortunate not to get the attack and return. And I think Brentford is definitely a place where he can do that. And then obviously I've still got Mitoma in there. They've got West Ham next. Same with Estepinian, of course. So it's going to be just another watch for Brighton, because I think a lot of people have Mitoma and Estepinian. They won't be taking them out, especially not after this week. So I can just kind of let them hang. It won't really affect me too much. And then we got Chelsea, who versus Luton, which is where I think Chilwell can finally get his points, for me anyway. And then we got Saliba to face Fulham at home, and then we got Martinez in goal to face Burnley, and then obviously Wan-Bissaka, same as Rashford, has Nottingham. So if you look at my team, and on paper it's a very, very solid team for next week. I do want to maybe look at bringing in some Tottenham players. Udogie, the left back, he's very, very good, and I think the next couple of fixtures will benefit him on the points tally of FPL. But my back four right now, their fixtures are just too good to drop anyone. Now I am going with the one striker, which is very risky, with the 4 defenders. No one really does this. Everyone plays either 5 midfielders and 2 strikers with 3 defenders, or they'll play a 4-3-3. I'm playing one striker because the striker that I have is 5.5 million, which is João Pedro. Him not starting against in the last game against the Wolves annoyed me, and I think there is a chance that he doesn't start again. What I might potentially do is just start him over one of my defenders, or maybe even Eze, and just hope that he doesn't play and then my sub comes on, or he plays and gets an amazing return. I think I am more willing to sell him. There are some great players in the game this year that are shining right now. For example, Wissa from Brentford, or maybe even take João Pedro out, downgrade him to a 4.5 and bring in an Mbemo, or maybe go for that Nicholas Jackson and downgrade one of my midfielders to a 4.5. We don't know. I don't know. I'm going to know by the time the week starts, and when that happens, you guys will see what happened with me in Game Week 3 next week. But that is my team right now. Haaland captain. I think it's a very, very good team for next week. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of the time I look over here because my camera's there, but my screen is here. But yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Obviously, like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll be back when Game Week 3 is over, and I am showing you what I'm doing for Game Week 4. But until then, I'll see you guys later.